It's both sex hormone and age related. By far, it's more common in women. Some of the statistics say it's 6 times as prevalent in women than it is in men. But testosterone can also have it in there. Really, our osteoclasts are more active than our osteoblasts. Just to remind you, the osteoblasts are anabolic, they're building up. The osteoclasts are catabolic, they're releasing in their activity. And this can be somewhat hormone related, but it also can be environmentally, almost epigenetic related. You had a question?
They're reversed in the book. It says osteoclast activity begins to outpace osteoblast activity.
Yes, that's true. So osteoclast is breaking down the bone, osteoblast is building up.
Oh, I thought it was the other way.
No, so it is right the way it is, at least the way it is in the slide. I forgot to put my text here, so I haven't looked. Yes?
So with osteoarthritis, would you find the reverse happening, and that would be why you'd end up getting...
No. Now, there's no question some people can have osteoarthritis and osteoporosis at the same time, which does happen in people, but it's not the same thing. And we'll get there momentarily when we get to osteoarthritis. It's a breaking down of tissue in a different way, from a different reason. Probably the most common function of osteoporosis is the stopping of estrogen production in menopause. The reason for this is that estrogen is one of the best chelators of some of the minerals, especially calcium. So a woman can absorb calcium way more efficiently than a guy can. This is necessary, especially if they're building little babies. Because they're building fetuses and doing that, they need that extra minerals to be able to create the child, to be able to create the metabolic functions, the physiological functions of the child. At the same time, if they're carrying a child around and doing the kind of work that in a hunter-gatherer situation that they're doing the gathering, it's actually heavier work than a guy. It was very interesting when some of the first explorers came to North America. It didn't take long before they realized the people that they wanted to have on their journeys were the female Indians compared to the male Indians to be able to help them along. Because the females could actually bear larger loads for a longer period of time than the guys could. I'm sure there was some cohabitational functions going along there too, but the long and the short of it, most women, sized by each, can actually carry heavier weights over a longer period of time than most men, contrary to what a lot of people intuitively said. So guys are kind of built for speed, but not endurance, whereas women are built more for the endurance. And this would be what would be adapted in a hunter-gatherer situation. They were gathering large amounts of things and bringing them over a period of time, whereas a guy literally had to run sometime to get the hunt. And so they can have these bursts of energy that feel like they're stronger and work with that. It literally starts breaking down over decades. And we'll see somewhere between a 0.0 or 0.3 to 0.5 degeneration in the density per year, but it can be between 3 and 5% in those early menopausal years. Here's an important phenomenon. Now, what I'm about to say is not 100% true, but it's true more than 50% of the time. Okay? Most women, as their estrogen starts going down, I'm just going to make up a number, the 45th year, which would be quite common, and 51 being the onset of menopause averagely. So estrogen's gone down, so by 51 they're not producing much estrogen. Of course, depending if they have estrogen deposits in their body in the forms of busts and side saddles, aka cellulite, they're going to be producing more estrogen back into their body in the form of estradiol, and that's where the hot flash material comes in. So literally in a woman's reproductive life, she's time depositing estrogen for menopause and postmenopausal era. So she'll still maintain the strength. But if a woman's gone on very strict diets and really tried to make sure that they didn't have side saddles, etc., which is very common nowadays, they wouldn't have as much estrogen storage, so they're going to have a little bit bumpier time with menopause. Or they aren't going to have the problem, or they're going to have some of the problems further down the line. What I'm suggesting here is, I learned from some French herbalists way back in the early days some herbs to get rid of cellulite. And I used them with quite a lot of women because it was very popular. But it didn't take long for me to realize that not only was I helping them get rid of their cellulite, I was increasing their probability of having osteoporosis in the future. So I stopped using that protocol quite a long time ago, because it's for vanity now and problems later on down the line. But what I'm about to say is, the statistic I was about to point out is, even though a woman's estrogen goes down, and therefore their bone density goes down between the 3 to 5%, between 45 and 60, it usually plateaus in more than 50% of the women at about age 60. So you might see TV advertisements said, this supplement is proved to reduce the bone loss in women over 60. That's normal. You don't need a supplement to do that. Usually what happens is, by the time a woman's hit 60, and it's not a magical number 60, I'm suggesting approximately 1 decade or 10 years later from them going into their estrogen reduction phenomena, they've created a different strategy of how to absorb and utilize calcium, similar to the way men do. So men work with their calcium almost completely from hormones produced from the parathyroid, a little bit thyroid, and other functions in their body. Women are using the estrogen, so they don't need those things, but after they stop producing the estrogen, in a healthy woman, she'll work out mechanisms of being able to help the calcium. And I don't want to tout that osteoporosis is a calcium issue, because it absolutely for sure is not. But they will be able to work with those minerals in a different way. And I'm just using calcium as a marker here. So if I have a person that looks like they're getting into osteoporosis and they're already past 60 and they're worried they're going to get worse, probably it will not. Now, coming back to that whole phenomenon of osteoporosis changing the goalpost back in the early 90s, and we had a higher level, they tried to change it again in 2002. They weren't successful. So what are they going to do? I mean, their shareholders, their board of directors needed more profits than they were getting. How can they do this? So they created a new disease, and that new disease is called osteopenia. I can't tell you how many people I've had this week, I'm not talking in general, of women who come and says, I've got osteopenia, I've got to do something about it. So this is a false disease created up at a false goal line of what the thing is. So they're saying, if you don't take our product, you're going to have osteoporosis, then you really got to take our product. So really, I'm suggesting osteopenia. Yes, if a person comes with osteopenia, we've got to watch what's going on, but it doesn't mean they need to take a bunch of pharmaceuticals, and certainly this is what the industry is trying to work with. The number one best prevention for osteoporosis is shopping. I mean, no, it's not shopping, but it's weight-bearing exercise. So if you're walking along carrying something in your arms, shopping bags, for example, or light weights or whatever the case may be, that literally puts weights, it could be a backpack or whatever the case may be, that's putting continuous weight on that hip joint, which is the most common place, lower back. And by doing that, it's actually being able to help it. And sometimes it happens in the arms. So by being able to work through these things in that way, we'll have a better chance of being able to build up those joints to a degree. Yes?
Can you spell the
Osteopenia?
Yes,
No. I probably can't. Oh, well, it's Osteopeana, I think. No, Enia, I think. Now, the replacement of estrogen is really, really simple from a herbalist point of view or a CAM point of view. The difference between vitamin D3 and estrogen is only slight. If vitamin D3 was discovered today and not discovered in the 50s, it wouldn't probably be called a vitamin, it'd probably be called a hormone. Because for all intents and purposes, it's a hormone. As you might remember, one of the major chemicals, D2, which is found in most mushrooms, is called estradiol, or estersterol. It literally is a hormone that will change into vitamin D2, which can change into vitamin D3 in the body. It can be used. As we pointed out ad nauseum in other classes, vitamin D3 is 3 to 4 times stronger. Some people say 2 to 3 times stronger than vitamin D2. But if you're eating mushrooms with the vitamin D, you can take that quantity relatively easy.